You ready for this? Question is, are you ready for the crowds, the chaos, the cops, the clergy?
Ungido nos protege, Señor. Vamos a ver.
The canines? We take a step back in time nearly 500 years to South America's oldest capital city, while taking 847 breathless steps up a hillside through a neighborhood where kidnappings, muggings, and robberies are common.
Maybe it is dangerous.
All to take in the breathtaking views of a gorgeous metropolis nestled in the foothills of the Andes. Explore the statues, the streets, the steeples, and the peoples in this city of 2 million people. It's a lot to juggle. But we've mapped out an unforgettable day for you if you ever decide to make this trip too, because you're going to be amazed by what we discovered right here in, where are we?
We're in Quito, Ecuador.
Quito, Ecuador. From the minute we were greeted at the Quito airport till the time we left about 24 hours later, it's all a blur. Especially the long drive into town. The long drive into town can be up to an hour, so if you need a nap, good time to take one. Unless you want to stay awake to take in the old architecture, the new graffiti, or any of the other sights and sounds of the highest capital city in the world. The city sits more than 9,000 feet above sea level, so maybe it's not just a lack of sleep making us a little dizzy as our driver finally drops us off at this unmarked, nondescript wood door, where inside we are greeted with one of the most unique hotel experiences we've ever seen. This place is called Hotel La Basilica Quito, an old bed and breakfast built around an interior courtyard with, it seems, a very unique history.
So this before being a garden, it was storage for weapon. Every type of weapon was stored here into the top part.
We'll tell you more about this hotel in a future episode of Window Seat, but suffice it to say, it is one of a kind. Oh, and we do want to show you this one more thing. This spiral staircase to the rooftop where you get a breathtaking view of the city.
This is the old city of Quito. This is the conquered city.
Now it's our turn to conquer this city, and the best way to do that is from the top. So that's what we decide to do when off in the distance we spot that silver behemoth glistening on a hilltop in the hot Quito sun, taller than Christ the Redeemer in Rio and looming just as large. Just one thing separates us and this famous tourist attraction: about 800 steep, dog poop-covered steps. Do we have to do this? All right, so we're about to begin our ascent. First steps right in front of us. You ready for this?
As ready as I'll ever be, mate.
Yes, we do have to do this. These steps were laid out in front of us for a reason, and that reason, well, hell, I don't know. We're too out of breath to think about it.
And the more you have me talk while we're walking up the stairs, the more tired I get.
All right, so here's what we didn't know going into this. These have been called the most dangerous stairs in Quito, where violent muggings, robberies, and kidnappings are commonplace. But look at us, the uninformed American tourists, bounding up the stairs. Right now we're at step 370, feeling every bit of it. But it's cool, it's worth it so far. Or struggling up the stairs with barely a care in the world.
Maybe it is dangerous.
Honestly, it didn't even occur to us that safety might be a problem until we realized we were literally the only ones on these stairs. And then we noticed the building started to get a little more covered in graffiti, and then we noticed all the wild dogs we had to step over. We just assumed, heck, these stairs are too hard for people, so they just give up. Yeah, you can tell a lot of people start on the path, but it looks like not as many people finish because you get to the top, it's overgrown with weeds. There's a lot of dog poop everywhere and overgrown with bushes here too. So my guess is people give up along the way, but we're going for it. And we do keep going for it. With each step, those stenciled numbers painted on the concrete go higher and higher until we reach 800 plus steps. That's when we finally run into three others, locals, who make us aware of the stupid mistake we just made.
All right, we may have figured out why it's not very busy at the top here. This group of guys just told us that it's really not very safe. As you get higher on the steps, it gets more narrow, more places to get robbed or mugged. So we're going to stick with them for the rest of the route.
Maybe it was the Virgin Mary watching over us and protecting us because we somehow made it safely to her feet and to one of the most popular tourist spots in all of Quito. This statue is called the Virgin of El Panecillo, which translates to small bread because of the shape of the hill it sits on. Built in 1976 by an artist commissioned by the Catholic Church, the Virgin is the biggest aluminum statue in the world. As we said, it stands taller than Christ the Redeemer in Rio de Janeiro, and it appears to be watching out over the city of Quito.
All right, we're not done climbing quite yet. We still have a little ways to go.
We decide to go all the way to the observation deck of the statue, 100 plus feet above the ground, where we get a truly astonishing view of this city and the historic Old Town off in the distance. I'll shut up and just let you look. Back inside the statue, beautiful stained glass windows depicting characters and stories from the Bible, and a museum of sorts telling the history of the city and the statue. On our way out of here, we're faced with a dilemma. How do we safely get back to town? Do we dare take the steps again? What the heck, we're idiots, and we spotted 2 other tourists on the path too.
What are we doing, mate?
Following them, strength in numbers.
All right, now that our life is no longer on the line, it's time to get a real taste of what this city is like. The crowded streets, the fungused feet. You can find a little of anything in this town and a slew of people willing to sell it to you.
Now, people peddling everything you can think of.
I just saw a guy selling cake from his kitchen. This guy right here, show this right here. He wants to buy his sunglasses.
We're good. Está bien. Está bien. No, está bien. No, está bien.
I mean, I have sunglasses. He wants to sell me more. I get it. This is how they roll, and this is how they're trying to make a living, so be it.
It is easy to get overwhelmed by the crowds in this bustling city, and it's easy to worry yourself sick that you're going to be the victim of a crime, but the reality is, the police here are very proactive about warning you to keep your head on a swivel and hide your expensive stuff.
They're very mindful of tourists here. You kind of have to appreciate it. Like, we're walking around with cameras here, and we even had the tourist police. They actually have tourist police who come up to you and say, be very careful holding your camera up, and if you are, because someone might come snatch it. These are things we've kind of heard a lot of from different folks, but to actually have a tourism police force actually come and tell you that, it's kind of interesting, and it's very helpful in many ways.
And because of that diligence, you can take a deep breath, which ain't easy at this altitude, and enjoy everything this city has to offer, from the famed Independence Square in the heart of Old Quito, home to the Presidential Palace, beautiful fountains, and fired-up preachers.
Ungido nos protege, Señor. Vamos a ver.
As they yell fire and brimstone, you are surrounded in this city by all things biblical.
And you can definitely tell that religion plays a big role here in Quito. You have a lot of religious symbols everywhere you go.
Seems every corner has a different cathedral on it. We walked into this one called the Church of the Tabernacle near Independence Square. Gorgeous, glowing, and gilded, and a great place to stop for a moment of reflection. Walk a few blocks and you'll find another cathedral and another town square and another reason to fall in love with the art and architecture of this amazing city. This one is called Plaza Santo Domingo. But the best church we found by far was the famous Basilica del Voto Nacional, where we met up with an old friend.
Hey, look who's here.
Andy joined us after a work trip in Rio to take in the sights of Quito. And there's no better place to do that than from the top of this church, with its stunning 377-foot tall towers and a gorgeous observation deck where you can take in all the sights of this city. Built on a hill in the northeastern part of Old Town, it's a gigantic Gothic church that took 30 years to build, starting in the 1890s. And the tour gives you a unique view of just how it was built. They recently added this really cool wooden plank walkway above the main cathedral, sandwiched between the roof and the basilica ceiling, where you can look down on those beautiful buttresses. And isn't that a fun thing to say? Beautiful buttresses. All right, by now, hours in the hot sun have passed. We're barely awake from our 4 a.m. flight in this morning, so why not pound a few beers, eh? Not like that would put us further to sleep or anything, right? Well, we did muster the strength to visit a cool place called Bandito Brewing with a great selection of craft beers. And we capped off the day walking the streets some more, visiting a makeshift market where local souvenirs are sold. And then we decided more beers were in order, so we went back to Independence Square where we found a sidewalk cafe with cold beers and good local food. And we were treated to a cool performance by a bunch of clowns and jugglers and dancers and whatnot. We had just 24 hours in Quito, and I really wish we did have more. I hope you do have more if you come here. Yes, there are dangers and there's crime, and as we learned from taking those dangerous stairs, you've got to be careful not to put yourself in a bad situation. But this city is full of lively, happy, carefree people living it up in their gorgeous surroundings, proud of their hometown. And if you ask them about danger, they'd probably worry more about experiencing it if they visited America than they ever do right here. Well, that's it for this edition of Window Seat. Hope you liked what you saw. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and don't forget to like and share too. We're back with another episode next week. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy one of these other episodes from Window Seat as we attempt to travel to every country on the planet. See you next time.